With Valve dropping 4 updates in the past 4 business days, this means that CS2 is potentially ready to release. Today we're breaking down what's going to happen when that does. Now this is probably the most active we have ever seen Valve. If we want to look at a lot of these updates, they're not super small. Obviously they're mostly just for bug fixes and more game development type of such, but the truth is they're still got a decent amount of stuff inside of them. They're not just 1 or 2 lines, and that's very important because in my opinion that means we could be getting crucially close to the end of CSGO and the whole transition over into CS2.
SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description.
Now the skin market has already seen some pretty massive growth. If we want to look at the past 6 months, a lot of the skins that are looking better inside of CS2 have seen some pretty insane growth. I mean, it's hard to understate how massive this growth has been. However, even in the past couple of weeks to the past month, we've still seen a lot of decent growth for a lot of the majority of the skins market. You can see right here, skins that are just like normal play skins like your AK Redline and everything around that such have seen some pretty decent movement in my opinion, especially considering these are play skins and they're not necessarily seen as investments, but they do have a little bit of just the market potential with them, and that's definitely what we're seeing right here with so many different skins inside of this area. Now in my honest opinion, I don't think investing into skins at this portion is going to do you anything massive. We're probably going to see better growth in other specific areas, and when we look at the previous bubble we saw, when CS2 does release, it's very likely we do see a pretty massive increase in a lot of those more popular skins, and especially over time. We can look at something like the M4A1S update, see that even though it wasn't a huge peak right away for every skin, a lot of them still saw pretty substantial growth over the past couple of months as people just flocked to skins, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen with CS2. The first day we may see obviously a shoot up in growth, but I don't think it's going to be absolutely massive when we see the fall off afterwards, which is probably something that a lot of people are really expecting to see. Now talking about the case market, it's a little bit of an interesting story. That's because a lot of people are hypothesizing that there could be some major update that comes along with it. We'll talk about that in a second, but the truth is when it talks about cases, a lot of them are on a very strong trajectory. We previously mentioned how a lot of the cases, such as the revolver cases, are starting to run into a little bit of a situation where there's not a ton of them available, which obviously opens up the door for some pretty massive growth potential in this area. Now I highly suggest you go into the investments you like, and we can see a lot of those cheaper rare cases do have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the fact that there's just so many out there, and when the hype hits, a lot of people are flocking to buy up thousands upon thousands of these cases. Now when we're talking about cases specifically, the biggest thing I want to point out is what happened with the previous bubble, and that's the fact that even though cases do potentially go up quite significantly, they don't see the absolutely massive fall off we see in other areas. This is why they're such a crucial area that I urge people to potentially look into, just because the fact is they're very safe in the fact that they obviously go up very high, but they don't lose all of that growth. Like when we look at something like the skins market or a little bit of the sticker market, we can see that they can go up very quickly and lose it all, but when we're talking about these rare cases, we can see that a lot of them end up keeping that growth. Like we mentioned before, a lot of cases are sitting in a very advantageous position, but we do need to make sure we're avoiding that active drop pull if we're looking for a safe option. A lot of these cases, when we talk about some things might change, whether it's a case getting kicked out, a case getting added, or whatever, it's going to impact these 5 cases right here, and if you just avoid these in general, you're going to be sitting in a much more advantageous position and also a safer position, at least in my opinion. Now when exactly is CS2 going to be released is a question that no one can answer. However, I would think that we are getting quite close. Obviously, we saw an update every single day last week that we were eligible to get one. Monday was Labor Day. It's not a day Valve works. And when we're seeing these massive updates day after day after day, there is definitely something to suggest that we could be getting close. They're rolling out more beta invites, and I don't think Valve is planning to slow down anytime soon. We saw that Faceit has now once again picked up CS2, and I think that's just a little bit more fuel to the fire when it comes to everything that is pushing CS2 to potentially be released. And finally, the biggest one of all is still the fact that Valve is consistently saying that it is going to be released in summer 2023, and when you continually say that over and over again and you got less than 2 weeks left, it does create some sort of ambition behind the player base, people believing it's going to come out, and even if it doesn't come out, I still think that there is a strong possibility it's going to improve quite significantly in the accessibility. Now, what exactly would come with CS2 is another answer that no one has, but the truth is there's a lot of beneficial things in my opinion. If we're talking about an an operation, obviously an operation does drop down prices in the short term, but when we look at Broken Fang and Riptide, we saw the two quickest recoveries for prices. I mean, these are very short times where the market's actually down because of the operation, prices recovering before the operation even ends, and we've seen a pretty elongated gap between the past operation of Riptide and now. And the truth is, I don't think the investing scene is small enough anymore for these prices to stay that low for that long. I think it's very possible we could see a rather quick recovery for a lot of these items. We can look at a lot of Riptide items and see that some of the cheapest prices we saw for them was on the first and second day, which is not usually the case of what we've seen in the past of items consistently getting lower and lower throughout. I think there's a lot of potential in this area just because the investing scene has gotten so large and to the point now where so many people know about it, to the fact that they're not going to quick sell off their items, and some people are even preparing for it at this point, which is just another reason why we could potentially see a very strong recovery. The other thing that's been on a lot of people's minds is the removal of the Paris sale, and I think at this point it's very likely that whenever CS2 does officially release, we're probably going to see the removal of this said sale. Now obviously prices have fluctuated quite a significant amount for a lot of these, and specifically the hollows in general, as that's mainly what we look at, but I don't think this is once again going to be a very negative thing. Everyone's waiting for the Paris sale, and the truth is a lot of these capsules have the potential to increase in price, but they're never going to increase until they're removed from the shop. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, the prices can only be 25 cents or lower when we're looking at these capsules when they're for sale for 25 cents. Now I have seen some people concerned as well about a brand new case, and the truth about a brand new case is it's probably not going to shift up the market as much as you think. Unless we're seeing like a Chroma 4, a Gamma 3, or a Spectrum 3, the truth is this new case is most likely going to be coming with a brand new rare special item. It's kind of a new era and a very good opportunity for Valve to go ahead and increase their revenue by bringing out a brand new item. We can look at a lot of the active duty cases and see they get unboxed a ton, but there's definitely ones that are winners and losers. Look at the Dreams and Nightmares compared to the rest of the active duty cases. This one is consistently near the top because it's a very desirable rare special item, and I think Valve obviously realizes that, and they realize with CS2 they're going to have so many new players coming in and might as well go ahead and release it with a brand new rare special item, which overall wouldn't shift up the market that much. And the last thing is, I've seen a lot of people concerned about potentially selling off, that there's a lot of people waiting to sell off until the release of CS2 and the whole market is going to plummet because of this. And I can honestly say, unless they're planning to sell off millions upon millions of items, it's very unlikely that we see any market crash sustained. We can look at Operation Riptide, which we mentioned earlier, and we can see that the recovery there took about 4 months, but the truth is that's because everyone was focused on buying brand new things. If we see an Operation release, it's definitely a little bit up in the air just because people are going to be selling off the items for an Operation, and the potential growth that we would see of CS2 might be leveled out by that. We don't exactly know. However, I would say it's highly unlikely that we would see any massive dip be sustained just because of the longevity of this area. But that's all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.